I'm Jeanette Keynes from Jewelry Arts Inc. In this video, I'm going to show you how you know you're finished when you're using my gorgeous new, so excited I can't stand it, Queen Puabi die formers. If you want to get your own, you can go to my website, jewelryartstools.com. So I've annealed my sheet. It's nice and soft. Oh, you guys want to come over? Want to come over? I hear in the background Susie go, woo! Sorry. We should record that and that could just be beginning of the video. You know what I mean? Woo! Just like ready to start. I love it. That's fantastic. So you see what I mean? And to point out, which I already emphasized, but I'll emphasize it again, it's not about all this back sheet out here being perfectly flat. It's not like you need to put this on a flat sheet and do anything crazy. You just have to use the parallel pliers to get out the waves, okay? So then, take my positive, put it in here in place, slide my fingers down out of the way. Remember, that's the magic position right there. And then I'm gonna give it a couple taps, you know, 2 or 3. And you see the waves. Every time it's gonna do that. And every time we will make I will make my dumb sound effect. Squish, squish, and squish. And then I'm gonna anneal and we'll go to the next round. Okay?
Makes sense, yeah.
That's really the whole thing, like control your urge to blast it into oblivion. And there's lots of things that you do that with, but with this, it's just gentle and it'll go beautifully. So we're sort of mid-bead at this point. We haven't gotten the full poof, but one thing that I really wanted to point out. So you remember in the beginning when I was making a big fuss about you have to leave extra on the sides, you can't, you know, you can't have too little. This is why. You notice when we first cut this, how this was sort of a straight rectangle. You notice how it's developing a waist? You see what I mean? It's sucking in on the sides, and that's because the metal is getting drawn deeper and deeper into the die. That's why you need that extra metal. And you will notice with a lot of these that it tends to draw in more on the sides than it does on the skinny end. But the point is you always need that little extra. So that just illustrates what we're talking about. You have to have extra, you know what I mean? If you cut your one too small, it'll end up, you know, dipping down too low, okay? Now I'll also show you the other side. You can see our cute little poofs are forming, but like, how do I know when we're ready to trim? I know that I'm not quite ready to trim because I don't have a shiny spot yet. And I will show you that. I'll do another round or 2. I guess I've done 4 rounds right here. Most of these take 5 rounds, 6 rounds, but it's kind of like you're just judging once you hit that shiny spot. And I'll show you what it looks like. Because basically the shiny spot comes from when this finally gets down in here enough that it actually hits the bottom somewhere and makes a spot. You're not looking for the entire bottom to be shiny. Like, you know what I mean? The whole thing doesn't have to get there. It just, one spot tells you that the whole thing has gotten down there. So I'm gonna do another round and then I'll show you what that looks like.
Okay.
So I've done a couple more rounds and you see how much more delineated my shape is. Now this particular one has those cute little like ribs in it. So we want to get those, you know, in there. But you see how much more poof we have at this stage, right? A lot more poof.
But no shine.
You'll see it in a moment. So I'm going to, as per normal, and you notice also, just to take a look, this is what I mean by, you don't have to stress out too much about the alignment because as this goes further down in there, it self-aligns. You know, like, yes, when you're doing the first 1 or 2, you know what I mean? You know, it's going to be a little, you know, whatever, but you see what I'm saying? Like, it sinks down in there. At a certain point, like, how far can you go wrong with that? You know, it's held in place. So yes, you do try to get it straight up and down, but it's easier than you think it'll be. So I'm gonna grab it, slide my fingers down, couple smacks. You see the shine?
Even from here.
Yeah, you see what I mean?
Yes.
Like it's not hard to see. It's not difficult. So once you see shine, I'm gonna trim every bit of this away and sand it a bit. And then I anneal it, and basically I usually then, once I've removed all the excess, I'll do one last pop it in there, give it a smack to make sure every little bit of it is snuggle. Yes, exactly. Do the little, just snuggle down in there, you know, beautifully. Okay, and let me just show you how to cut it, which is low tech but effective. I usually just use my Joyce Chen's. Now, granted, this is a smooth, pretty even shape. If you have something maybe like this one that has like a curve there, you're not going to be able to cut that exactly. You'll have to file it, or you could always take this and put it on a bench pin and saw it out, like whatever it takes to get rid of the metal. If it's a smooth shape like this, I'm just going to cut it. You know my personal life policy, do it the easiest way possible and only put in more effort if you have to. See, I'm just going to trim around. You know, and also if you're using fine silver, just so you know, and you've got this scrap, it's all perfectly clean because you haven't done any soldering on it. So you can use it to make granules, you can use it to make your alloying packs. If, you know, for gold, you can, you know, you do have to accept that there will be quote unquote wasted sheet when you do this. Like there's no way to avoid that. Okay, so you see that? Like, have I cut it absolutely perfectly? No, but I've pretty much gotten rid of that excess. I'm gonna put a piece of like 400 sandpaper down. I'm gonna do a little sanding. If you have something sticking out, you can file it a little bit. You're just looking to get rid of what, you know, that little shelf. The little shelf should be gone. Okay, so I'll get my file out and a little sandpaper and I'll kind of show you how I do that. But you know, this is not any different than you've got a bezel and then you've got to like sand the bottom flat and get it nice and flush. The same stuff that you've done over and over. But nice. Isn't he cute?
Beautiful. Adorable, beautiful.
Love it.